Hey everyone, and welcome to This Explainer. Today we're going to unpack a deeply counterintuitive problem that's facing so many high achievers right now. We're drawing from author and corporate treasury leader Jaldip Shah's Seek, Seed, Grow framework to examine a really specific, almost backward phenomenon, how your very own competence might actually be creating a massive stagnation trap for you. I know, it sounds totally backward, right? I mean, we're always taught that getting better at our jobs leads to freedom, more money, more growth. But as we're going to see, sometimes the very skills that got you to the top are the exact same ones literally anchoring you to the floor.
Look, I want to speak directly to those of you who are already successful professionals. You know who you are. You've got the stable income, a highly respected position. You've hit all those conventional markers of success. On paper, you've done everything right. But quietly, maybe just beneath the surface, you feel this restless, nagging sense of stagnation. You might literally be asking yourself, is this it? Is this the whole shebang? If you feel like you're performing a version of your life more than actually living it, I want you to know you are absolutely not alone. And more importantly, you're not burned out. You are succeeding, but you are deeply unsatisfied.
Okay, so here's our roadmap to help you break free. We're going to cover the high achievers trap, the competence plateau, the awareness illusion, structural self-awareness, and then we'll wrap it up with the 4 practices. All right, let's jump right into part 1, the high achievers trap. So this trap is essentially a psychological state where you've hit all the big success metrics, but you still feel totally stuck. Why? Because that definition of success was inherited from society or your parents, not actually chosen by you. And the direct result of that is something called arrival emptiness. It's that jarring experience of achieving a massive goal that you think should feel incredible, but instead you feel surprisingly nothing. If you optimize your career for external validation rather than your own internal values, you're pretty much guaranteed to hit this profound emptiness when you cross the finish line. You climbed all the way to the top of the ladder, but man, it was leaning against the absolute wrong wall.
Moving right along to part 2, the competence plateau.
Now this right here is the hidden engine of the whole problem. This is exactly how competence creates a stagnation trap. The competence plateau is the point where you are just so good at your job that nothing is required of you that you can't already easily deliver. It's the ultimate comfort trap. From the outside, this plateau looks like incredible stability and mastery, but on the inside, it functions exactly like a cage. Your personal growth operating system just shuts down because, well, it's not facing any genuine friction or challenge anymore.
And that brings us to a massive hurdle, which is status comfort. This is that deep-seated reluctance to try something new, mostly because being a beginner again would totally threaten your shiny professional reputation. High achievers have the absolute most to lose when it comes to appearances. So, the fear of looking foolish, or just losing this hard-won comfort, keeps you decisively trapped right where you are. You might even use totally legitimate obligations, like a big mortgage or a fancy VP title, as a sort of responsibility shield to forever avoid stepping back into the uncertainty of real growth.
Which brings us to part 3, the awareness illusion. Okay, to solve this trap, you might naturally assume, well, I just need more self-awareness. Actually, scratch that. Standard self-awareness usually fails, and here's why. First off, we instinctively avoid it. Our minds are brilliantly, fiercely designed to protect our egos using denial and rationalization. Second, we confuse familiarity with real insight. Like you might say, oh, I'm just a naturally defensive person, treating it like a settled fact instead of actually investigating it. And third, we completely lack outside perspective. We are stuck inside our own heads, meaning our blind spots are literally by definition completely blind to us. This is exactly why standard journaling, meditation apps, or those online personality tests usually fall short of creating any real change. They're just mapping the surface. They completely miss the foundation.
So what's the actual fix? That's part 4, structural self-awareness.
Psychologist Tasha Eurich points out 2 common types of self-awareness, internal and external. Basically, knowing your moods and knowing how other people see you. Most folks assume they have both, though honestly, very few actually do. But the Seek, Seed, Grow framework introduces a third, much deeper dimension, structural self-awareness. This isn't just about what you feel or how people see you, it's about the why. It's about spotting the patterns beneath the patterns. While internal and external awareness are totally fine for polite conversation, structural self-awareness is the heavy-duty tool you need to dig up the hidden beliefs and those inherited stories that secretly dictate how you react to things.
I absolutely love this quote from the source material. Naming a habit does not dissolve it. Understanding its function does. This hits the nail on the head. Simply knowing that you get defensive when your boss criticizes you isn't enough. If that's all you know, you're just going to keep being defensive. You have to understand exactly what that defensiveness is trying to protect and where that instinct even came from in the first place. Only then is real growth actually on the table. And this deeper level of digging maps perfectly to the main operating system of Jaldip Shah's framework: seek, seed, and grow. Structural self-awareness is the absolute bedrock of that seek phase, and this proves such a vital point. Seeing yourself clearly isn't just the warm-up for the real work, it is the real work. Without accurate self-knowledge, everything you try to build in those later seed and grow phases, it's just being built on a completely distorted picture of who you actually are.
All right, let's bring it home with part 5, the 4 practices.
So how do we actually do this? Well, these 4 practices are not just empty corporate platitudes. They're heavily drawn from psychology, Stoicism, the Bhagavad Gita, and 2 decades of high-stakes global finance. They are specifically designed to sneak past your mind's defenses and force you to look at the uncomfortable realities of your own beliefs. We've got 1. Study your reactions, 2. Map your avoidances, 3. Seek challenging feedback, and 4. Notice the say/do gap.
Let's talk about what this looks like on a random Tuesday at the office. First, study your reactions, not just your actions. If you have a moment of disproportionate anger or find yourself getting super defensive, those are massive data points. You got to ask yourself, what would I have to believe for this situation to feel so threatening? Second, map your avoidances. You know that one conversation you just keep putting off, or that task you perpetually delegate? Yep, that is a perfectly reliable map of your blind spots. Third, actively seek feedback from people who challenge your self-image, not just the yes men who confirm it. And finally, notice the say-do gap. Remember, your real values are always revealed under pressure. If you claim to value honesty, for example, but you regularly fudge the truth when the professional stakes get high, well, that gap tells you exactly what your true operating value is.
At the end of the day, every single achievement worth having is in service of something else. So I'm going to leave you with this final kind of uncomfortable question. In service of what? I want you to look really honestly at the competence trap you've built for yourself. Sure, you're great at your job, you've got the status, you've got the comfort, but what are you systematically avoiding by staying parked on that plateau? What kind of profound, life-changing growth would you actually have to confront if you finally decided to become a beginner all over again? Take some time to chew on that. Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep seeking, keep growing, and we'll catch you next time.